Have you ever thought about this? If money suddenly disappeared tomorrow, everything wouldn't collapse overnight. You wouldn't wake up the next morning in complete chaos. It would begin quietly, slowly, almost silently, without you even realizing it. At first, tiny inconveniences would appear. The ATM would say, "Withdrawals unavailable right now." Banks would delay transfers for security reasons. You'd wake up one morning to news headlines saying, "Certain banknotes are no longer valid." No one would shout, "Money is collapsing," because most collapses don't start with noise. They begin in silence, unnoticed by the majority. History shows the same pattern over and over again. Financial systems don't fall in a single moment. First, trust breaks. Then money collapses. And when trust is gone, money becomes nothing more than paper and numbers on a screen. This may sound dramatic, but we've witnessed this many times throughout history, from ancient empires to modern economies, from Rome to Weimar Germany, from Zimbabwe to Venezuela. The same story has repeated itself around the world. The fall of the Roman Empire wasn't caused only by invasions. It started when the mints began producing hollowed-out coins. Cheap metals replaced real silver. People realized the money wasn't real anymore. Shopkeepers started demanding payment in wheat, oil, even chickens, because once trust disappears, money stops being a store of value. Then came Weimar Germany. 1923 was an absolute disaster. Prices doubled every few days. People demanded their wages twice a day, morning and afternoon, because the money lost half its value by evening. People pushed wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a loaf of bread. Million-mark, billion-mark notes became worthless. The financial system had collapsed. Money didn't only vanish physically, it disappeared in people's minds. Everything people had saved for years evaporated instantly. In Zimbabwe, during the 2000s, the government printed $100 trillion bills. It sounds enormous, but it barely covered a few days' groceries. Those banknotes eventually turned into tourist souvenirs. In Venezuela, people traded haircuts for food, smuggled basic goods across borders. Because when trust in money dies, people return to whatever they can physically exchange. Throughout history, people have held on to three things: gold, goods, and foreign currency. Because when crisis hits, people need something tangible, something real. Now imagine the same thing happening tomorrow in the US or Europe. The impact wouldn't be confined to one country. Today's global economy is like a spider web. One thread snaps, the whole web shakes. If the monetary system collapses, the entire network collapses with it. Ports stop operating. Cargo never arrives. International trade contracts become useless. Banks freeze accounts to stop public panic. Electronic payments shut down. Credit cards, debit cards, none of them work anymore. And the real collapse doesn't happen in the economy. It happens inside society's mind. People have believed for decades, my bank account is safe. My money belongs to me. My salary will come, my pension will arrive. The moment that illusion breaks, chaos begins. History teaches us one brutal truth. When money collapses, people don't just lose their wealth, they lose the structure of their lives. In ancient times, people returned to barter. In modern times, they turned to foreign currencies, gold, and, more recently, crypto. Is crypto a real solution? Maybe, but let's be honest. If there's no electricity, no internet, no functioning exchanges, crypto isn't as reliable as people think. Still, in places like Venezuela, Argentina, Turkey, and Nigeria, crypto became a kind of emergency lifeboat. Gold, on the other hand, has passed this test for thousands of years, from the pharaohs to the collapse of the Soviet Union. But gold also comes with problems. It's risky to carry, hard to store, and governments under pressure can confiscate it. The US literally did this in the 1930s. If money collapses tomorrow, What happens first? Store shelves empty. Gas stations refuse payments. Everyone turns to barter. Small communities build their own microeconomies. The black market explodes. Not just for contraband, but for milk, bread, baby formula, everyday essentials. Eventually, a new currency emerges. But it doesn't have to come from the government. Throughout history, private companies have issued their own money. And in some countries, foreign currencies replaced the national currency entirely. When Yugoslavia collapsed, the German mark practically became the country's official money. Today, something even more interesting is possible. A major tech company could create its own currency. One so powerful it could overshadow actual governments. That's why central banks are racing to develop digital currencies. Because whoever controls the currency controls the power. Money and power are inseparable. From the perspective of ordinary people, the truth is simple. If your wealth exists only within the system, it isn't truly yours. Bank deposits can be frozen, stocks can be revalued, bonds can become worthless in a single day. Real wealth is what stays standing when the system falls. Sometimes that's gold, sometimes a skill, sometimes your social network, sometimes physical assets you can actually use. Most people won't realize money has collapsed until they try to buy bread. And the warning signs we see today, rising debt, climbing inflation, out-of-control central banks, all whisper the same message. The system isn't as stable as we believe. My job is this: to show you what this collapse looks like before it happens. Because history doesn't just tell us that money can collapse. It shows us how it collapses, how the new system begins, and how the rules change afterward. And the irony? After every major collapse, the system rises again. A new game begins, new rules, new winners, and the same human nature underneath it all. If this kind of content interests you, don't forget to subscribe.